April 13th, 2021. The world is fucked. Specifically the USA. Yesterday, in the middle of the Derek Chauvin trial, another Minnesota cop killed another unarmed black man. But get this, she meant to reach for her taser, but pulled her gun. Dwante Wright, 20 years old, he had a 2-year-old son. He was on the phone with his mother in the car she bought him. He had a warrant because of a paperwork fuck up. They mailed something to the wrong address, so he never got some DMV paperwork, some DMV shit. He was pulled over because he had a car air freshener hanging from his rearview mirror, a cause for a traffic stop in Minnesota. I just thought about how my dad got a letter from the DMV saying his license will be suspended on the 22nd of April if he doesn't show some sales receipt, paperwork stuff from me selling my old Honda Accord to my friend Corey last year. I just thought about how he goes out to run errands all the time and how he might just go around the corner to get something. Maybe he drives a little reckless because he's embarrassed to wear glasses and too scared to put in contacts by himself. Maybe commits a tiny driving infraction like forgetting to signal. I just thought about my dad, a 6', 61-year-old, heavyset black man with terrible, terrible knees, being dragged out of his car, being choked and tased, slamming him into the ground face first with frightening intensity and force as cops contort his arms, being behind his back, to lock into handcuffs. Maybe they'll just choke him. Maybe 7 men will sit on his chest and tell him to stop resisting. And who knows, maybe they'll push him to the ground, breaking his skull and hemorrhaging his brain. Or maybe they'll just shoot him. 4 times, 7 times, 15 times, 30 times. Maybe his seatbelt will still be on. That is, if he remembered to wear it. See, he always told me he grew up in a time when not all cars had seatbelts, so it's just force of habit that he forgets to buckle up. See, he was born in 1960, when you could smoke a cigarette anywhere, even if you were pregnant. Movies cost less than $1, even if you were to buy snacks at the theater. And when segregation was legal. The Civil Rights Act was signed into law in 1964, then the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968. But by the time my dad was 8, he'd already seen his idols butchered before him. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, Fred Hampton, then black men in Vietnam. Then comes over-policing in black neighborhoods. Then comes the AIDS and crack epidemic. Then the Central Park Five. Rodney King beating. Rodney King trial. Rodney King riots. Then Amadou Diallo, then Sean Bell, then Oscar Grant, then Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, then the Ferguson riots, then Sandra Bland, the Charleston church shooting, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, Terrence Crutcher, Jordan Edwards, Antoine Rose Jr., Stephon Clark, who was killed in my hometown of Sacramento. A Tatiana Jefferson, who was shot to death by police while playing video games with her 8-year-old nephew. Elijah McClain, who died after being put in a chokehold and sedated with ketamine Yes, ketamine, causing him to go into cardiac arrest. On February 23rd, 2020, Ahmaud Arbery was pursued by 3 white residents in a pickup truck while jogging before they confronted him and fatally shot him, thinking he was a wanted burglar. 26-year-old Breonna Taylor was awoken in the middle of the night to bullets being shot into her apartment, ultimately being hit by 6 of the 32 rounds, killing her in her apartment hallway. George Perry Floyd Jr. died May 25th, 2020 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, after one of 4 police officers, specifically Derek Chauvin, knelt on Floyd's neck and back for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, all caught on camera, might I add. And then there's John Charles McFall Jr., born March 18th, 1960, died April 22nd, 2021, after a traffic stop in Roseville, California. He is survived by his wife, Sonia McFall, his 2 daughters, Felicia McFall, 28, and Danielle McFall, 25, and his 23-year-old son, John Charles McFall III. God bless America.